Hello, this is Linda, and in this process video, I'm going to share with you my process for putting together a week in my Project Life album. My first step is always printing out my photos and laying them out on my spread. For this week, I had quite a few photos, so I'm going to try to find ways to work with that. My second step is going through my 4x6 cards and choosing what I want to put in the 4x6 pockets and just making sure I have something to fill every single pocket. After the 4x6 cards, I'm going to go through the 3x4 cards. Sometimes I work with a specific kit, but when I'm not working with a specific kit, I do work with all of the supplies I've designated for whatever month the spread falls within, which are typically all of the kits that I picked up for that month and any other products that I had purchased during that month. So this is July 2021, so I'm primarily working with the Studio Calico Documenter kit. I don't subscribe to that kit, but I picked up this month's kit, and the Paper Person kit for July, which I did have a subscription, but I don't any longer, and the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, which I receive every month. After I put something in all of the pockets, I was kind of trying to find a way to get more white space into the spread because it seemed so busy. So one way I did that was I cropped down this rose photo and I backed it with another card right there. I also pulled out a 4x6 piece of white cardstock to back that photo of my daughter and I, instead of doing a busier background, just to have a little bit more white space. After I have a card in every pocket, then I try to work on embellishing. One of the first things I did was go back through the cards and selected this card right here from Studio Calico that has a circle on it that I punched out using a circle punch to embellish that photo of my daughter and our dog. Then I go through all of the embellishments that I have set aside for the kits for this month, which you can see here also has some of the outdoors collection from Ali Edwards. And I'm just kind of choosing what I want to include on this spread. I tend to do something that I can repeat across the spread, but not always. I also went through the stamps for this month and seeing if there's any that I want to include. I love stamping, but for whatever reason, I often forget to use my stamps in Project Life, so I need to get better about that. This die cut set came in the Studio Calico kit, so I was trying to find a way to work them into a few of the pockets, but I really only like that one ticket on that photo with the flowers, so I put that one there for now, and I'm just kind of going through everything and seeing what I can do. For this spread, I didn't really come up with a uniform embellishment idea to do across the spread, but that's fine. I just ended up going with a little different things on every card that made sense to me. On this photo right here of raspberries and chocolate whipped cream, I just added a little label sticker and a chipboard piece and some journaling about my current obsession with making homemade chocolate whipped cream and eating it with the fresh berries that we picked the week prior. After this card, I think I'm going to start working on my journaling or just some of the embellishing. After I have all of my cards selected, I just kind of go across my spread one pocket at a time. And I don't really work in any specific order, just depending on what I am inspired to work on. I'm doing my title card next, which I just put the stamps for the start date and the end date. And I tend to do that on every week. I always use that top left-hand corner pocket for a title card, and I find that is a great way to use up a lot of the 4x6 filler cards, and I like having that date range on there that I know what the spread represents. Next, I'm going to work on this card right here of my daughter and me. So I'm trying to work through my journaling. So I tend to include a lot of journaling on my spreads. I just like to tell more of the story on here, or just at least like have an overview of what went on. I think the journaling is what takes the most time, but I really like having it on the spread. So I decided to create a journaling card on here. I added a stamp and then I colored it in with one of my Tombow markers. I don't really do that often, but I think I should do that more frequently because I really like how it turned out. And then I'm just journaling about our day at the track. So on the Thursday this week, we went to Saratoga Racetrack because it was opening day. And so I'm just journaling about that here. And I have quite a few photos on this day on the spread from that day. You can see my iPad right there. On my iPad, I have the Day One app. This is an app I've been using for about 5 years. Every day I journal in the app a little bit about what we did that day, just kind of an overview. And I use this app whenever I'm scrapbooking. I can pull up whatever date or date range I'm working on and know what we did. So I don't worry at all about getting behind or working out of order in project life because I don't have to try to remember what happened. I have it documented in the Day One app. I use this app for all of my projects, for project life, and then for things like week in the life or December daily, I might include more details or specific details for those projects in the Day One app. And that way my journaling is really kind of out of the way and I can focus on the craftier part when I'm putting together the spreads. So what I did there is when I created that journaling card, I didn't realize that a journaling card that I had in there was actually my plan for my journaling for the Saratoga Racetrack days. So I'm going to have to rearrange that. But first, I'm going to do all my journaling for the rest of the week on this 4x6 card that came from the Stories by the Month kit. This card says July stories and has space to document 5 different stories. I think that a card like this is really great for a week when you have so many photos because you can fit so much more, you can just fit a lot more words on a 4x6 card. So this way I can put all of my journaling or most of my journaling for the entire week on this one card, and I can devote more of my 3x4 pockets to photos rather than journaling cards. That sticky note there kind of has an overview of all the stories from the week. Before I put together a project life spread, I just kind of scroll through my Day One app and jot down notes on a sticky note there of all of the overview of the stories from the week, so that when I'm putting together my spread, I can check them off and make sure that I've included everything that I want to include on my spread. Because before I did this, sometimes I would complete an entire spread and then totally forget about a huge event that happened that I just happened to not have any photos from or something. So I totally forgot to document it. And that was so frustrating to me. So creating this little sticky note is something that I do, and it's very quick and easy. And sometimes I'll even do it before I'm ready to prep the spread, just so that I remember things that happen. In my Project Life album, you can see I'm working on this week in July. It is currently October, so I have a lot of empty weeks in my album. In the album, though, I do have the sticky notes for each week. And on the sticky note, it shows the date range, and some of them I have already gone through and put down my notes from the entire week of what I want to include. Sometimes I will also just add in a note in a week of something that happened that week as it's happening, so that I remember to include it, or at least have it in my mind when I'm working on my spread if I want to include it. So because I had to take that A card out because I no longer needed to tell the story of our day at the track, I needed to replace it with something else. So I pulled out this card from my stash that I believe was in an old Week in the Life kit because I have 7 of them. And I decided I'm going to use this card to just kind of tell the story of Saturday, because from reading my Day One app, I saw that Saturday I really had kind of like a distinct morning, afternoon, and evening of what we did. So what I decided to do was I pulled out my Day One app again, and then I'm just going to journal on here. And I used that same Tombow marker that I had used on to color in that stamp on the top right card to select the Saturday, highlight the day Saturday at the top of this card just to have a little uniformity across the spread. I kind of wish they had come out with a way to use the Tombow marker a little bit more on this page, but I'm happy that I worked it in 2 spots, and I feel like that at least had a little bit of uniformity across the spread. When I'm working on these weeks in Project Life, that's something I'm always looking for. When I use something once on the spread, I'm always trying to come up with ways that I can use it again across the spread so that there's a little more cohesiveness throughout everything. So I'm just working on my journaling here. The journaling is really what takes the most time. And you can see on that 4x6 card, I had only made it through 3 of the stories before I started working on this card, because from my sticky note there, I had more than 5 stories. And so that's why I'm going to do this one, so I can see like what stories are left to put on that card. The journaling really does take a lot of time, and I do have a lot of journaling on this spread like this. Sometimes I do less journaling. Sometimes I type my journaling. And when I do that, then putting together the spread takes a lot less time, and the computer part takes more time. For this spread, I only did my editing and printing of my photos on my computer, so that didn't take long at all. And really, the bulk of the work was done here when I'm putting the spread together physically. And it really just depends on what look I'm going for with that spread, or what I feel like doing. If I feel like working on my computer, or if I feel like working by hand. So I'm journaling my last few stories here. I still have the day one app because my sticky note really just has like an overview of what stories. But to get more of the details, I'm either pulling them from my memory or from the day one app to fill in on here. So the first few stories on this card were specific things that happened on specific days. And then like this 4th story was just kind of a general overview of a theme of something that was going on this week. And that's something I tend to do in Project Life. I will journal about themes. So I will say, like this one, it says here, I spent a lot of time scrapbooking this week. I am definitely in a creative groove right now. I'm also working on a daily happy mini book with Summer right now, and my travel class at Allie Edwards started on Tuesday. So those were stories that happened throughout the week, but I clumped them together because they were all related to scrapbooking. And I find that that's a good way to kind of get my stories into my Project Life album, because I don't have to, just have a card that says, this is what happened Monday, this is what happened Tuesday. Instead, I can, really find a way to unify those stories across the spread. So I think I'm done with my journaling now. And then the last step is really just to go through the spread and add in any additional embellishments. This card just had a little checkbox on it. I'm going to go through and just kind of adhere the embellishments that I've already selected and add a little bit more. I wanted to use some chipboard on this spread, so I did pull out a few chipboard pieces. Here I layered these 2 circles, this chipboard on here, and then I'm also going to add a chipboard circle onto that photo from the racetrack. I try to add embellishments on a few of my photos, but not every single one, because I feel like that gets too busy. I really felt like the left side of the spread looked busy. So this card right here, which was a photo of some art that I saw while we were in Saratoga, I thought maybe I could crop it down and put it on a background. So I was looking through the 3x4 cards that I had to pull out. And I also decided to try to put it over a white card there just to kind of see what it looked like. But I decided against it because I really didn't want to mess with the photo, and I thought it looked fine as is. As I'm working on my spreads, I really try to have some white space on every single page, or, spaced out enough. So on this spread, I really just have those 3 cards that have white on them. They have journaling on them, which makes them a little busier than just plain white space, but at least there is that white color, which gives a little more lightness to the spread. So the spread is pretty much done now, and I could really end it right here, but I decided I wanted a few more embellishments, and none of the chipboard or anything was working for me. So I went through the cards in the kit again and decided that this card right here from Studio Calico that says relax and recharge would make a great embellishment for our game night photo. One thing I really loved about the Project Life cards is that I can cut them up and use them as embellishments. It's something I do frequently. And if I didn't, I don't think I would ever make it through my stash, because there's only so many pockets in a week, and I do pick up a lot of these cards, but this gives me a way to use up more than just a couple cards on a specific spread, which is great. I adhered it on here with it interacting with the edge, and then I just cut off that last piece. So I'm just going through and looking at the chipboard again and seeing if anything else works. I'm not in love with the way this spread came out, but I thought I would still share this process video with you so you could see kind of just a normal week for me, one that I don't have anything kind of any special techniques or working with a specific kit. I'm just kind of working with my usual process. So now that I feel like the spread is pretty much done, I'm going to kind of clear off my desk and then go through and put the photos and cards into the pockets. I feel like this is the last step because sometimes as I'm doing this, I have to trim the cards, or I decide like the cards need something else. And it's kind of my final look at how everything goes together in the spread. So those 3x4 cards, sometimes you have to crop them down, and it's frustrating to me to have to kind of flip over the page, but that's, you can't have the opening on both sides of the pocket. And so I'm just kind of slipping these in, and this left side here is done. Then when I go to do the right side, I realize I didn't actually finish all of my cards. I never adhered down those roses onto that filler card, so I am going to do that now. And then that journaling card of me and my daughter at the track, I decided there was a little too much white space at the bottom there, so I decided to use a rolling date stamp to add the date that we went to the track on there. And then I decided that this spread was done. I do have quite a few photos that don't have any embellishments, but I'm still happy with the way that it turned out. As you can see, I don't have a uniform embellishment across the spread. It's just, the little bits and pieces here and there. And this is kind of my ordinary process, and I'm still happy with it. It's not my favorite spread, but I think it works. So let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching.